Okay. So this week, as I said, we're looking at the introduction to software engineering, just to give you an idea of what it is about. But before I start, can I have some opinions? Let me hear what you think software engineering is. And it's so wonderful when we meet like this, that I can see all the names and I can pick on people. But I will allow anyone who feels like speaking to go ahead and do so. What do you think software engineering is about? Anybody? Hello? Anybody here?
I would say I think it's about learning how to put together softwares, engineering the different aspects of how software works related.
That's quite vague.
It's mystery because when you talk about engineering, it goes a little bit deeper. So we know that it's more than just programming, but actually planning and designing and identifying and so forth.
There you go. So once you know the meaning of the term software, and you know the meaning of the term engineer. So first of all, who is an engineer? An engineer is what?
Problem solver.
A problem solver. And so you're taking that problem solving into the field of software, and more so software development, not necessarily software use, because we can all use software, but more software development. We're taking that engineering to it. So what we're doing is making sure that whatever software that we produce is relevant and it is valid and it is made to do what we set out to make it do. All right? So that's what we're looking at in this module. Now, the interesting thing in this module is that I will never ask you to write a program. I'm not going to ask you to write any programs at all. So, students are quite surprised when they hear me say that. But it's because you already know how to write programs. So I don't have to teach you that anymore. As a matter of fact, at the end of this particular module, you may want to go back and modify the programs that you would have written already. Because all of you would have done programming in engineering already. And you would have done that final assignment for me. So you might want to go back and modify it based on what you will learn here. But anyway, let us see what happens in the module. So we're starting out with the introduction. Now, as you can see in the upper right-hand corner of the slide is the book Software Engineering. You can see it? And that's the 9th edition. I think we are now up to about the 12th edition. Our 11th or 12th edition, but I'm using the slides that I got with the 9th edition. Now, I have in previous years or in previous offerings modified the slides, but I decided no, I'm not going to modify it. I'm going to use it straight as is from the book. I may, in some of the chapters, I may not use some of the slides, because this is not a full software engineering course of study. This is an introduction to software engineering module. So you won't be doing everything that is in the book. However, it is a good book to have. All right? It's written by Ian Somerville, and he is a well-known name in software engineering. All right? It's like the Bible of software engineering. There are other books out there, and you'll find them in the library. Feel free to use them as well. They generally say the same thing, but I like the Ian Somerville because it is clear, right? The way he writes is clear, and it is not specific to computer science as such. It's more general. Okay. I have actually, I think I did hide some of the slides in this lecture because, as I say, I'm not going through all of them. All right. So what are we looking at today? Professional software development and software engineering ethics. Because, as I said, what we're doing here is looking at the development of software, and we're also having to having the ethical considerations in software development as well. Okay. All right. So all economies of all developed nations are dependent on software, and I don't think this is true. I would say all nations. I would leave out developed. The economies of all nations are dependent on software. Everything we do now is controlled by software, isn't it? Yes, is there anything that you can tell me, any business, any type of entity, apart from the guy who sells his on his jerk chicken, the jerk pan man on the side of the road, that is not controlled by software? And as a matter of fact, he probably uses some amount of software in his payment system now, or even in getting his orders, because he's doing that on his phone and advertising his small business on Instagram and all of these places. It's not true. No comment from those of you who can talk? No? Okay, let's go on. All right. Even what we're doing now, it's so funny that a few months ago, we would have been still at a point at the University of Technology where we would have a small number of modules being offered online. And now we're at the point where we're looking at putting most of our modules, if not all our modules, online. So as we go along, as we grow and as we develop and as things and life changes, you see more and more systems are software controlled. Even if you look at some of these new buildings that are going up, all their locks now, they're no longer using locks with keys or even swipe cards. They're using locks that can be controlled by your phone or a laptop somewhere. And they're putting camera systems on them as well. So as we develop, we're using software more and more. So what we're looking at with all of the software, with all of what we're doing now, what we have to look at is ensuring a certain standard of development of software. We have to make sure that the software that we're developing meets certain basic standards and that we don't leave our customers at risk by the use of software. We have to protect persons. All right. The last bullet here says expenditure on software represents a significant cost in all developed countries. And this is something that we know and have to appreciate. And it's not just, as I said, developed countries, but all countries, right? Even at UTech here, we're thinking of spending quite a bit of money on new software just to be able to have modules being offered online. Okay. So, software costs often dominate computer system costs. The cost of software on a PC are often greater than the hardware costs. Isn't that true? Software costs more to maintain than it does to develop. For systems with a long life, maintenance costs may be several times development costs, and software engineering is concerned with cost-effective software development. All right, how many times, as students, I'm sure you know this, you can buy a laptop or a tablet, and more so a laptop and a desktop. And then when you buy it, you get it blank. All you get on it is what? The operating system. So
Right.
even if you buy a decent laptop for about 700 to 800 US dollars, and maybe more, all right? You know, when you get it, you now have to say, okay, I need software to go on it, because what's a laptop or what's a computer without software? It doesn't do anything.
Not at all.
And then you now go to, I heard you, Matthew, this morning, you were talking about Microsoft. And you now have to buy Microsoft Office. You can buy the home version or the educational version or the commercial version. And you realize just how much it costs. It's not cheap. It costs probably half the cost of your hardware, the laptop itself. And that's just Microsoft Office. And then you now want to add additional software. So I know some students end up doing what? Getting, you still get torrents and crack them?
That will never stop.
That will never stop. Because you have to get things like MATLAB and AutoCAD and all sorts of other software.
Most of these softwares, though, they have them in trial. They just need to create a new account. That's what I do to keep
going. So you end up with lots of email addresses. So for all of these trial editions are for like a maximum of what? 30 days? And 30 days is 1/3 of a semester. So you have 3 email addresses going for the semester. I know.
Yes.
I was once a student, and I still do that for some software that I refuse to purchase. But so what it is that we really have to do is, in what we're doing too, we're also looking to see how we can keep costs down. Because when you're developing software, it's not just, and when you are actually doing what you just said, Mr. Lin, what you have to remember that to develop software, there are people involved. You have a team of people who are working to make that software available to you. And they have to be paid. And not only that, the software itself, there's absolutely no software that has been developed that doesn't have flaws. And every time these flaws pop up, every time there are bugs in the software, somebody has to fix them. And this is why the second bullet says, for systems with a long life, maintenance costs may be several times development costs, because you still have to have people. Microsoft still have to have people employed to do just that, maintain the software. They get the feedback from the customers that say that something is wrong with this software, and they are the ones who go and fix it. But software companies have found a way to get around that, because all they do is every time they fix a few bugs, they just call the software a new name and sell it, and tell everybody that they have to upgrade at a cost. Yeah, so it's everybody has to live. Everybody has to be able to feed their families, pay their bills. So there's nothing wrong with that. But we have, regardless though, we have to ensure that the cost that is given to the consumer or to the customer is reasonable, or is the true cost. All right. Now, I just realized that I was talking about the customer. One of the things that I want you, lady and gentlemen, Miss Henry still here? Yes, she's still here. All right. One of the things that I want you to remember is that in this particular module, you are to treat yourself and look at yourself as the software developer. All right? And you're developing software for a client. So you hear me talk about clients, and I'm not talking about you. You are the developer. Okay? And you're developing software, a software product for a client. Okay. All right, so what are some of the products that are produced? Generic and customized products. generic, all right, standalone systems that are marketed and sold to any customer who wishes to buy them. Give me the names of some of those products without even looking at the examples that they have there. Standalone product that you can go into a computer shop and say, I want this, or you can go online and buy it.
You mean that doesn't run with the software?
No, I'm talking about software itself.
Okay.
What software do you go online to buy? What software do you go into a computer shop to buy a DVD?
Like
what?
Ableton Live, Fruity Loops, those studio software.
Come again?
Ableton Live.
Okay. And that's general. Anybody can go and buy it?
Yes, yeah.
Okay. You're gone very far. You could have easily said Microsoft Office. That's a very easy one.
I have antivirus software.
Antivirus software. These are generic products, all right? Because anybody can use them. The examples here also includes software for specific markets, such as appointments for systems for dentists. Now, dentists you have a large number of dentists all around the world. So no software company has to, or no dentist has to ask any software developer to make an appointment system specifically for him. Because appointment systems are appointment systems. So you'll find that pharmacists, dentists, doctors, they all have the same general systems that for their business, they can go and buy. In the earlier days, though, they may have been specific. In the 80s, 70s, 80s, those may have been customized products. But right now, they're no longer customized. You can actually just go and purchase them. Even accounting software as well. Hold on. I keep forgetting the name of the QuickBook. Is that what it's called?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. That is generic. That's a generic product. All right. Outside of that, no, you have customized products. Software that is commissioned by a specific customer for their own needs. And if you look at the examples, embedded control systems to air traffic control software and traffic monitoring systems. So there are certain organizations or certain groups of people who will need software that is specific to them. And air traffic control and air traffic controllers can't just walk into a shop, Royal Computers, and say, okay, I need air traffic control software. No. What happens there is that a specific software company are asked to develop the software for air traffic control. Okay? Banking. In banking, that's also specific. There is no bank that is going to take off the shelf software. They are going to have a software company, or they're going to have their own team of analysts and developers develop the software themselves. All right? But let me ask you, a learning management system, for example, like Blackboard, what would you call that? Generic or customized?
It's more like customized.
Really? But so many universities use Blackboard. You can even get it online to download for free.
Okay. But, can it be really customized to suit a particular need?
Yes. So that too. So you have some software that fall in between these two. They are generic products, but they can be taken by the developer and customized to suit the needs of specific clients. because no two institutions are the same. So it can be modified, it can be tweaked to suit the needs of the client. All right. Now, which one do you think costs more? The generic product or the customized products?
It's definitely customized.
The customized. Yeah.
The customized product costs more to make and deliver. But which one makes more money?
The generic one. Generic.
The generic,
Yeah.
because everybody will be buying that and it is constantly updated and resold as a newer edition. All right. Okay, so we went through this really. Generic product, the specification of what the software should do is owned by the developer, and decisions on software change are made by the developer. So what that means is that, using the Microsoft example, Microsoft owns the Office products. They own that. Even when you go and purchase the software, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, all of the Office software, and put on your laptop, you do not own it. You own the rights to use it for a particular period. All right. Now, what that does, it allows Microsoft to go and make changes. And they decide on what changes they want. And when they make the changes, they may still allow you to use your old product, but in a few years, you're going to have to upgrade to the newer product. Okay. Whereas now with the customized product, it is not the software development company that owns the software. It is owned by whoever, the client, who asks the development company, the software developers, to make the software. The client owns the software, and it is a client who says what they want the software to do. They make those decisions. All right, so the specification of what the software should do is owned by the customer for the software, and they make decisions on software changes that are required. Okay.
So it would be like the Water Commission app or the JPS app or NCB app that they would ask a developer to develop for them.
Yes. Yes, all those billing systems that JPS and NWC and Digicel Flow have, those are all customized products. They ask the developer to do them. And there is another little gray area here that we will get to further on down in the module. Because do you notice that all of these tend to look the same, particularly JPS and Water Commission? They have a general look that's similar. Digicel is completely different, but between JPS and NWC, their bills look the same. So even though both of these companies would own their product, what happens is that it can be the same base product that is tweaked and sold to the specific ones. So we have, well, when we get to it, I don't want to jump too far. There is a type of software development that is there that allows for the use of similar software, but they're still owned by separate people. But we'll get to it later on, though. All right, so here are some frequently asked questions about software engineering. So these you should be able to answer all of: what is software? What are the attributes of good software? What is software engineering? What are the fundamental software engineering activities? What is the difference between software engineering and computer science? And what is the difference between software engineering and system engineering? What time is it? We have time to run through those, because we tend to go fairly slowly in this particular module. It's now 4:45 and we finish at 5, but let us see. What is software? Computer programs and associated documentation. So notice it's not just a program, but also the associated documentation. All right, your help files. All right, your description of the software itself. Software products may be developed for a particular customer or may be developed for a general market. You can read through all of them, but what I want to, there are two that I want to look at. What are the fundamental software engineering activities? Specification, development, validation, and evolution. Evolution can, in some books or in some texts, you will see the word maintenance. All right, so specification, development, validation, and evolution or maintenance. Okay, that's what you're doing in this particular module. The other one, what is the difference between software engineering and computer science? Computer science itself focuses on theories. Software engineering is concerned with practicalities. All right. It's just like physics, what physics is to electrical or mechanical engineering. It focuses on the theory. But what you're doing here is putting the theory into practice. So whatever you learn in computer science, you know, that is put into practice here. But don't worry about it. You're not doing computer science in this module. What's the difference between software engineering and system engineering? Software engineering is concerned with all aspects of computer-based systems development. Systems engineering is concerned with all aspects of computer-based systems development, whereas software engineering is part of a more general process. All right. So in systems engineering, there is also the process side of it, whereas software engineering is more hardware and software development, getting hardware and software to work together. All right, some more questions here. I suggest you make sure that you read through them, okay? I'm going to skip through them and get straight to the essential attributes of good software. And you can, from this, you should be able to determine how good the software that you're using are, all right? Now, good software should have the characteristic of maintainability. And when we say maintainability, we mean that if it has an error, it can be fixed. If there are changes in the business, the software should be able to be changed to match this. All right. So the specific description is software should be written in such a way so that it can evolve to meet the changing needs of customers. This is a critical attribute because software change is an inevitable requirement of a changing business environment. All right. So as a business person, you may start out with your business in a particular way. You know, look at us at UTech. We started out with a university where all our modules were face-to-face. Then we started to change, and not only the modules, but even the accounting and the timetabling system. All of those used to be done by hand. When I started my diploma here at UTech, or at CAST in those days, Mr. Claytorday used to develop the, Mr. Claytorday and Professor Buchanan, was Mr. Buchanan at the time, used to develop the timetables by hand and used to post it on the notice board on the ground floor by the water machine. They used to post it on that notice board, and we would go there and write down our timetable. Now, what has happened is that we've now moved from that. We've grown, so how we do business now grows. So now we are using CellCat, and CellCat has to be integrated with the student learning management system because students need to be able to pick their modules and see their timetable. So as the client changes, the software that they use must be able to change with them. Or else, if it doesn't change, what they're going to do is get rid of that software and buy a new one, and the software company now loses business. All right? Software must be dependable, or it must characteristic that dependability and security, meaning that it should do what it is supposed to do when it is supposed to do it. And security, as we all know, is a major issue now. Software dependability includes a range of characteristics, including reliability, security, and safety. When you go online to your bank, I am quite sure you want that when you go to the bank website and you use your software, that you see what is actually supposed to be in your bank account. Yeah? And nobody
Right.
should be able to see it or get to it. Okay. And dependable software should not cause physical or economic damage in the event of system failure. So you understand what that means. So if for some reason the software at the bank goes down or makes your account inaccessible, when you're able to access your account again, the same amount should be there. It shouldn't wipe out everything. All right? Malicious users should not be able to access or damage the system. And there will forever be malicious users, because no matter what, these people exist. All right? And the software that is developed must be able to withstand attacks from these users. Now, the efficiency speaks to software should not waste system resources such as memory and processor cycles. Efficiency therefore includes responsiveness, processing time, and memory utilization, and there are others. And this is one of the aspects of software engineering that may make you want to go back to your old program to modify it, right? Because now we realize how important efficiency is in software. Acceptability. Software must be acceptable to the types of users for which it is designed. This means that it must be understandable, usable, and compatible with other systems that they use. So you can build a piece of software, but to do something. And I'm going to use the example of the timetable at UTEP. Yeah. That software is not a part of the ISA system that we have, which is a student academic system. However, CellCat, which is a timetabling software, has to be able to be integrated in with ISAS so that the students can have access to the features of both.
Right.
That's one. Understandable is the other one, is another one that you have to be careful with. It makes no sense to develop software that outputs information in English when your clients are Dutch. It makes no sense. So that would not be acceptable. All right.
Speaking of that, Dr. Chambers, will we be learning about APIs in this class?
No.
Okay. I know that should be the link between the different softwares.
No, we're not doing that. As I said, this is an introduction. All right.
Okay.
So if it is that you want to do more software, you'd have to do that in your own time. We're just introducing the whole idea of software engineering to you.
Okay.
Okay. Hopefully, when we get the software engineering course of study going, you might want to do it after that. All right. Software engineering is an engineering discipline that is concerned with all aspects of software production, from early stages of system specification through to maintaining the system after it is gone into use. All right. And it is not just technical process of development. but also project management and the use of development tools. So we will be looking at project management in this particular module as well. All right, we're not doing the full project management course, but there is a unit of project management included in software engineering, because software engineering is to the field of computing what project management is to the field of engineering. Okay, the importance of software engineering. You know, you have all written programs before, and you're probably wondering, but I have written programs. I know how to write programs. Of what relevance or what importance is software engineering to me? So, if you look at the second sentence, we need to be able to produce reliable and trustworthy systems economically and quickly. And that's why software engineering is important. The small programs that we have done can benefit from software engineering, but may not be the best examples to show the need for software engineering. All right. However, for larger programs, it is usually cheaper in the long run to use software engineering methods and techniques than just to write the programs as if it was a personal programming project. For most types of systems, the majority of costs are the costs of changing the software and after it has gone into use. And that's a big thing. You know, when you have developed your software and you have given it to the client and they're using it and they find out that there is a problem with the software, what does that do? It affects their business. And anything that affects their business is costing the client money. Somebody has to pay for that loss. And it is going to be whoever's fault it is. So it would be the software company's fault. So the software company would therefore have to pay out. So you have to be really careful in writing programs that the software engineering standards are met. All right. Okay, so what are the activities in the software process? You have the software specification, and now this is a conversation between customers and the engineers, the software engineers. And what that does is to define the software that is to be produced and the constraints on its operations. And as we go on, we'll explain just what that is. And as I said that, I remembered that there was another topic I wanted to put into the module outline, but we'll discuss it. Please remind me, it's called elicitation. So when we get to the module outline, you remind me to put elicitation in there. Please, someone, I'm getting old, I don't remember things anymore. Software development. So after the specification, you have the development. And what we mean by the development is still not the writing of the program, not specifically, all right? What we're talking about here is the design of the software. That's where the bulk of the work is, in the design. Now that design is then sent to the programmer who does the programming of the software. Okay? Now after the program is written, you now have, and even we don't have to wait until after the program is written to do what we call validation. This is where the software is checked to ensure that it is what the customer requires. And why we don't have to wait? Because programming is just converting the requirements into code. If you get the requirements right, if you validate those requirements, then the program will be fine. Okay? And that is where that is up to where we are going to go. And then you have after that the evolution, or what is also called the maintenance, where the software is modified to reflect changing customer and market requirements. All right? Because one day the customer might say everything is fine and they like their software, and then you move on. One day comes up, and I don't want to trivialize the events that are happening now, but you have Blackout Tuesday yesterday. The customer is going to say, but I want to change the look of my software to black, to mainly black. So it should be modifiable like that. And that's what we're talking about. That's a trivial part of evolution, but not necessarily trivial at all in life. Because if you notice, a number of companies did change the look of their online business. And that is not easy. That is not always easy to do. And the software developers were the ones who went on and had to do these modifications overnight. All right. All right. General issues that affect most software: heterogeneity. Don't like saying that word. Increasingly, systems are required to operate as distributed systems across networks that include different types of computer and mobile devices. Once upon a time, when you were doing business with the bank, you had to go into the bank. And then, hallelujah, you could access your bank account. You could do business with the bank on your laptop or on your desktop. And would you believe it? Glory be, they after a while, they started allowing the same, how should I put it? The same access via telephones. You could access your bank via your telephone, but using Chrome. But what is now happening is that the banks now realize that it is hard for someone to take up their phone, open up Chrome, and do the same the same thing that they need to do on a very small screen. So what they've now moved to is having the same look or the same the same tools available on mobile devices. And sooner or later, if the development of smartwatches or some other device comes along, they'll have to make this software available on those devices as well. But what you realize is that it's the same operations on all the devices and all the platforms. All right? And the look is the same. It is just fitted for the device. That's what we mean about heterogeneity. Okay?
Wow.
All right. Business and social change. And I probably touched a little bit of that because coming out of our what has driven the need for access across different platforms is the change in business and how we live our lives. Business and society are changing incredibly quickly as emerging economies develop and new technologies become available. They need to be able to change your existing software to a rapidly developed new software. And you just take a look at some businesses like the restaurant business in Jamaica. Once upon a time, a few months ago, you want to go somewhere to eat something nice, you take yourself up after work and you go to a restaurant, or you make a reservation, you go to a restaurant and you sit down to eat. That's not so anymore. And those restaurants had to find a way to keep their business alive. So what did they do? They pivoted and they started using delivery companies, and they put their menu online. And what that has done for some restaurants is open up their clientele. And persons are now able to view the menu online and order what they want. That is sent to a new emerging business, which are the delivery companies who now go pick up and deliver. And you can even track when these delivery companies collect the meal, and you can track them on Google Maps all the way to your home. Isn't it wonderful software?
That's true. And but By the look of it, some of the business, if you ever seen where they prepare the food, you would never order from them because of software.
But
You
the
don't know.
software makes it look nice.
Yes, it does.
It makes it look nice. But there's nothing wrong with it. All right. Trust, security, and trust. Software is intertwined with all aspects of our lives. It is essential that we trust that software. And I talk about these new buildings going up with all these locks on the doors that they're no longer controlled by a key, not even a swipe card. You use your phone. No, you have to be able to trust that that software can't be hacked by anybody so that they just walk into your home. So when you're developing your software, your customer, your client has to be able to trust that what you're developing for them is good, is safe, and it is secure. All right.
The only issue with that is if you have a power outage. Always has to be a workaround.
Well, that is true.
Speaking of the locks.
That is true. But I'm quite sure all of these systems have to have a way to work around that power outage. And if you're going to put in something like that, you have to ensure that you have a backup supply. It makes no sense you put in a system that doesn't have a backup supply. Like some of the doors that I see at UTech, when power goes, the doors all open.
Yep.
Very interesting. Yes. All right. There are many different types of software systems, and there is no universal set of software techniques that is applicable for all of these. Software engineering methods and tools used depend on the type of application being developed and the requirements of the customer and the background of the development team. All right. So there is no just one way of doing things in software engineering. There are certain standards. However, the standards, once you maintain the standards, you are free to develop or you choose to develop in the way that you develop. All right, so we have the different types of applications. You have standalone applications, those that you can run on your computer that don't need internet connectivity to run. You have interactive transaction-based applications, applications that execute on a remote computer and are accessed from users' PCs or terminals. And they're talking about web applications, e-commerce applications, even some of the software that hopefully some of the lab software that we have at UTech, those once you have the web license, you should be able to access them anywhere. And you also have embedded control systems. These are software control systems that control and manage hardware devices. Numerically, they are probably more embedded systems than any other type of system. And everything you have, even in your refrigerator, in your store, in your stove, in your car, everywhere now, there are embedded systems. You buy a toy for a child, there's a control system there. They're small, they're cheap, they're easy to produce, and they do what they're supposed to do. Yeah. And there are still there's still computers that are controlled by software. You have batch processing systems, business systems that are designed to process data in large batches. I won't go into too much detail. You have your entertainment systems, you have modeling and simulation, data collection system, like your SurveyMonkey, those things. And as this says, your sensors in processing plants. And you have systems of systems. where you have multiple, a number of these systems that we just spoke about in one. These are systems that are composed of a number of other software systems. All right, some fundamentals of some fundamental principles. Some fundamental principles apply to all types of software systems. And let's see. Systems should be developed using a managed and understood development process. Well, we spoke about some of these before. Dependability, that's important. Understanding and managing software specification and requirements, what the software should do, are important. And this is, I alluded to this one earlier on. Where appropriate, you should reuse software that has already been developed rather than write new software. And this is a part of software engineering, which is called code reuse. And there's nothing wrong with code reuse. I don't know if you remember when when you did programming for engineering in first year or in second year, that I had my tests and exam were open book.
Yes.
You remember that? And it is particularly because of this point why I decided to make my test and exam open book. Where appropriate, you should reuse software that has already been developed rather than write new code. So each person, if you have, or each team, if you have software that you start and you develop, you can use it whenever you need to use it, however you need to use it. It makes no sense in trying to rewrite it. You've already written it. Just reuse it, but use it in a way that is appropriate for what you're trying to do. All right. And this is why you'll find companies like JPS and NWC having bills that look fairly similar. The developer said, why rewrite anything? Let us use the same code. It's just that it is modified appropriately for the organizations. You were saying something, Mr. Lynn?
Oh no, and just use back the code and rebrand it.
Yeah, not just rebrand it, but you make sure that it does what it is that the client requires that it do.
Correct.
Okay. And it saves time. All right. No, the web is now a platform for running applications, and organizations are increasingly developing web-based systems than local systems. Web services allow application functionality to be accessed over the web. We live our lives on the web now, don't we? Look where we are having class. Cloud computing is an approach to the provision of computer services where applications run remotely on the cloud. And you don't have to buy the software, and it makes it so cheap. You don't buy the software, you just pay for the use. Look at this. I'm using GoToMeeting right now. If I was to buy GoToMeeting, this would cost lots of money. I'm just paying a small amount per month for the use of the application. And that's not a problem. They make it so cheap. It's on the web so that you can have a large number of persons using it, and a large number of persons using and paying will always make the company more money than a small number of persons using and paying for it, paying large amounts of money for it. All right. Software reuse is the dominant approach for constructing web-based systems. And the benefit of that is that when you go on, when you, as a business person, you have your website where your customers can come and do certain things, order what they want or do what they need to do. You want the software to be so easy to use. It's almost intuitive. So anybody you look coming to your website knows how to maneuver around. All right, so this is where software reuse is really helpful with web-based systems. Because we're so used to doing or using software in a particular way that we have no problem when we go to any business on the web, because there's some standard features that you'll find on all systems. When building these systems, you think about how you can assemble them from pre-existing software components and systems. And by using the pre-existing software, it makes most of these software that you have now on the web similar. Not the same at all. They may do widely different things, but just how they do it is similar. Web-based systems should be developed and delivered incrementally. It is now generally recognized that it is impractical to specify all the requirements for such systems in advance. So you put your system out and your customers work with it. And as your customers needs change and grow, then you can go back and let the software change and grow as well. So you don't just come out with one fantastic piece of software that can't be changed. That doesn't make sense. You allow the system to grow with your customers or with your business. User interfaces are constrained by the capabilities of web browsers. All right. I'm not gonna get into this too much, but it just means that, you know, when you purchase or when you're go to certain websites, they tell you which particular browser it is optimized for. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
So most persons optimize for Chrome. Once you optimize for Chrome, everything else should work. Might not work on Internet Explorer, but I don't know how many people still use Internet Explorer.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's true. Microsoft has now moved to develop the new Edge on the Chromium platform.
Pardon?
Microsoft has now have to build a new Edge browser on the Chromium platform.
Yes.
So now all the extensions can be used in the browser.
Yeah. There you go.
I guess that's now the standard then.
Yes. All right. Web-based systems are complex distributed systems, but the fundamental principles of software engineering discussed previously are as applicable to them as they are to any other types of systems. Fundamental ideas of software engineering discussed in the previous section that we just finished are web-based software apply to web-based software in the same way that they apply to other software systems. All right, and there's some key points that you can read through in your own time. Yeah. Any questions on that? None? Hold on. It is 4:18. All right, so I am going to allow, let me see, 5-minute break. You think you can make it back here for 4:23? Please do. I'm going to be breaking up the recording because when I try to upload or produce the MP4 for the recordings, if they're too long, it takes too long. All right, and it's harder to upload because of the size. So I'm breaking up the recording. So a 5-minute break. We start back at. Please don't shut down. Go to meeting. Just you can step away from your machine for 5 minutes and come back. All right, and then we finish up today's session.
Okay.
Okay, so we're gonna look at the second part of today's session. I know we finish at 5, so let us try to go. Oh dear, what am I doing? Go a little faster. Where am I? PowerPoint. Okay. But really, what we're going to be speaking on now is really ethics in software engineering. Now, when I think most of you would have done some amount of ethics already in level 1 when you did engineering tools. Remember that?
Yes, yes.
Engineering seminar.
All right, some of you would have done it in engineering seminar. And that's one thing we like to emphasize in all of what you do, the ethics behind it. Because whenever you're dealing with people, there are ethical considerations. You have to be careful with people. In software, when we talk about people, we're not just talking about the workers or the clients, but we're talking about the clients' clients and their data. There are ethical considerations there. You have to ensure that that there is security and that nobody's rights are trampled on. All right. Software engineering involves wider responsibilities than simply the application of technical skills. Software engineers must behave in an honest and ethically responsible way if they are to be respected as professionals. Ethical behavior is more than simply upholding the law, but involves following a set of principles that are morally correct. All right. If you notice, I read it slowly because when you're dealing with software, what you're really dealing with here, and in particular in some particular businesses, you have to remember that you're dealing with people and their data. All right? And having knowledge of people's data is power. But when software engineers, when you develop a piece of software and you give that to your client should be assured that their business will not suffer because of you.
Compromise.
All right? They will not, for one, outsiders should not be able to have access to their information. Number 2, that you, the developer, yourself do not find a way in to access their client's data. And even if you can do that, you do not do. All right? And you don't do it for your own personal gain. And this is the issue with software. Developers are very powerful people. But if you are found out as a developer, as someone who does things that are unethical, even just once, even by mistake, you will never get another job. All right? You're going to have to retrain and find something else to do because nobody will put you in front of a computer again. Okay, bear that in mind. Issues of professional responsibility include confidentiality. Oh, by the way, for those of you who have joined late, you can unmute your microphone and you can talk back. I don't like to be the only person talking. I like conversation. All right. But if it is that your background is noisy and will affect the class, then you mute yourself. All right. Confidentiality. Engineers should normally respect the confidentiality of their employers or clients, irrespective of whether or not a formal confidentiality agreement was signed. Just because you didn't sign a document that restricts what you can say or reveal doesn't mean that you should go ahead and reveal everything about your client. All right? Because whatever you do, you have to remember your client has more power than you. Even though you know everything about your client, all your client has to say to somebody else or just put it out there on Twitter, on Instagram, wherever, particularly Twitter, that this developer does not understand confidentiality, then you won't ever get another job. Everybody will start mistrusting you. Okay? Competence. Engineers should, and this does not just speak to software engineering, but all fields of engineering, ladies and gentlemen. Engineers should not misrepresent their level of competence. They should not knowingly accept work which is, what's this? Out of their level, out of their competence. Out with their competence. I don't like that term. As an engineer, all right, I give you an example. You're all electrical engineers here. You are training to be electrical engineers. And when you get your degree as an electrical engineer, it does not mean that you are an electrician. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes, that.
All right. I'm not saying that you can't understand the drawings, and I'm not saying that you can't design the layout of what you give the electrician to do, but you're not electricians. Not unless you do the license course and you pass that license exam. Yeah? Don't do it. Electrical engineers should not misrepresent themselves as mechanical engineers or HVAC engineers. Do not do that.
And that is for those
Even,
ones.
hold on, even within the field of electrical engineering itself, if you know you did instrumentation and controls, don't misrepresent yourself as a power engineer. I know that the degree that you're doing is general, but if you did mainly instrumentation and controls, or if you did mainly power, don't misrepresent yourself as the other. You can say to other people that you are willing to learn, and you can learn. Don't misrepresent your level of competence. So as a software engineer, do not try to tell people that you can develop fantastic software when you don't have the skills. When you're done with this course, with this module, I am not telling you to go out there and hang a shingle saying that you're a software engineer. You are not. You know that you have the introduction to software engineering. You have a general idea of software engineers. Yes?
That's what we have. Introduction, not a software engineer.
Exactly. Just an introduction. You can probably tell people what to look out for. You can probably give them a little advice, but you don't tell them that you are going to be a software engineer unless you're going to do more training. Okay?
Yeah.
Intellectual property rights. Engineers should be aware of local laws governing the use of intellectual property, such as patents and copyrights and other such things. You can get a lot of, I'm sure when you did seminar, you had persons from JIPA coming to talk to you. Anybody like that? Anybody who spoke to you about intellectual property?
We have some outside visitors, but I don't remember specifically if it's from...
You would have had somebody from JIPA. That's the Jamaica Intellectual Property Rights Organization, something like that. They should be careful to ensure that the intellectual property of employers and clients is protected. You don't just because you know things about people go and share it with all and sundry. They're called trade secrets. You do not give those out. Computer misuse. Software engineers should not use their technical skills to misuse other people's computers. Computer misuse ranges from relatively trivial things like playing games on an employer's machine, or to extremely serious acts such as dissemination of viruses. So none of these should you do. Don't even use the computer to open some of these dodgy emails that you're getting. Wait until you get somewhere else if you really want to open them. Otherwise, just dump them. Delete. All right, so there are some codes of ethics. The ACM IEEE Code of Ethics. Now, IEEE is everywhere, and we stick to their codes of ethics. Members of these organizations sign up to the code of practice when you join. Now, I don't know how many of you are student members or members of, well, you would be student members of IEEE, but when you become a member, just by signing up to join, you also sign the code of ethics. All right? If it is that for some reason you breach the code of ethics, you will lose your professional registration and you will lose your membership of these organizations. And you won't get them back. Okay. The code contains 8 principles related to the behavior of and decisions made by professional software engineers, including practitioners, educators, managers, supervisors, policymakers, and trainees and students of the profession. I was just looking at the time. We have 20 minutes to go. All right, so you can read through the rationale for the codes of ethics, but I want to get, and you can read through the preamble, but what I want to get to are these, the ethical principles. All right. And some of this, as I said, if you did engineering tools or if you did, what was it, seminar, you would have done these already.
Mrs. Sanders, looking probably to our email, we would access them. Where would we access them?
2 ways you'll have this. 1, the recording will be uploaded. Secondly, I always upload all slides. All right. I'm not going to spend much more time on this. I want you to read through the ethical principle, the rest of it after I finish this page, because I want to get to the course outline. All right. So we have the public. Software engineers shall act consistently with public interest. Just because you're developing software for a particular client, it doesn't mean that you should do something that is illegal or immoral or against the interest of the public. All right? You can talk to your client about it. The client and employer, the software engineer shall act in a manner that is in the best interest of their client and employer, consistent with public interest. Just because your client is telling you to do something, if it is not right, if it is not in the best interest of the public, it doesn't mean that you should do it. Okay? You speak to your client and you tell them that this is not right. And if they fire you, they fire you. Because guess what? Your integrity will still be intact. Okay? You will always get work. For the product, software engineers shall ensure that their products and related modifications meet the highest professional standards possible. Okay. Judgment, software engineers shall maintain integrity and independence in their professional judgment. Integrity and independence. Do not be influenced by others. You understand yourself, understand what you stand for, and you maintain it. All right, this is what your business is about, your company is about. You stand by it. I'm not saying that you can't change, though, you know, as long as you still maintain your integrity and your independence. For management, software engineering managers and leaders shall subscribe to and promote an ethical approach to the management of software development and maintenance. Right. For the profession, software engineer shall advance the integrity and reputation of the profession consistent with public interest. For colleagues, software engineers shall be fair to and supportive of their colleagues. You don't see one of your colleagues out there in trouble or needing help and just leave them out there. I'm not saying that you must help each other in your tests and examples. That's not what I mean. Towards yourself, software engineers shall participate in lifelong learning regarding the practice of their profession and shall promote an ethical approach to the practice of their profession. So it means, therefore, that you keep learning. Software is dynamic. You can never say you know everything about software. That will just never happen. All right? And no matter what, you should always promote the use of an ethical approach in your practice. All right, there are some dilemmas here. Disagreement in principle with the policies of senior management. What do you do in a case like that if you have issues with the policies? Your employer acts in an unethical way and releases safety critical system without finishing the testing of a system. Now, big in software engineering is system testing or product testing. And you really shouldn't release the system without testing it thoroughly. But if your employer wants it to go out, that's an ethical issue that you have to deal with. And also, participation in the development of military weapon systems or nuclear systems. Now, a lot of persons don't want to get involved in the development of weapons or nuclear systems, but they are developed. And there are software engineers who did help and do help the development of these systems. How do you handle that? That's a dilemma. What do you do as a software engineer? All right. So these are some of the things that I want you to think about. Now, in the book, in this text, there are 3 case studies that they use throughout text. The insulin pump, embedded insulin pump control system. You have a healthcare management system for mental health care patient management, and you have a weather station system. And some of what we do will use these as, what we do will use these in different places as examples, all right? But when you get the slides, just read through all of it. As I said, I skipped through some, and some of the slides are hidden. Just read through all of them for me, okay? And now I am going to open up, hold on, I'm going to stop sharing. How do I stop sharing the screen? I'm stop sharing the screen for a minute because I want to open up the course outline, which some of you would have seen already. Okay, so where is it? Give me a minute. Let me find it. Okay, there you go. All right. So this is posted in the Google group already, the course outline for the module. And let me just run through. So we are June 4 now. As you know, the semester goes up until August 10. But there are 2 holidays in that, August 1 and August 6. So we have to navigate around those. When I say August 10, your exam will be done within that period. And I know you're looking at this and saying, hang on, is that really 5 tests? Yeah, 5 tests you will be doing in this time. You have the dates or the periods for the tests already, so please be prepared. And they're very short tests, and I'm just testing all of what you do in the units before the test. For example, on the week of June 16 to 18, that's when you'll get your first test, and that will be based on what we've done today, plus the what we'll be doing next week. All right. And all my tests, with the exception of test 5, are multiple choice. I may give another section which includes a task for you to do. All right, but my tests always include a multiple choice section, and my tests are no longer than a half an hour in duration. All right. Now I know that you will say that, Miss, we have issues with internet and all of that, but your test will be timed. All right. And unfortunately, I cannot host the test during the class session because the time is so limited. So I will post the test on Classmarker or Moodle, depending on when I am able to get on it. And you go online and you do your test. Okay. So let's see what we're doing now. So next week, when we get back here on Tuesday, we'll be doing software engineering processes. And on the 11th, we'll be doing project planning. 16 to 18, we'll be doing risk management, and we will discuss the assignment the Thursday. And the assignment is a fairly meaty one, so I'll spend some time and go through it with you. June 23 to 25, we're starting with requirements definition. Following week, we look at documentation and validation. After that, we do specification. Then we have formal and behavioral specification, GUI, verification and validation. And then on the 4th, you will do your project presentation, and this should read assignment submission. So your assignment is the project, really. You will be required to do a presentation of your assignment, and you will present to the full group. And you will all grade each other, and I will grade you as well. And I may invite somebody to the group to assess you as well. All right. And at the end of that day, you will submit the paperwork itself for the assignment. So, and that is used as the presentation itself, not the project, but the presentation is used as your test 5. All right, so how are you assessed? It's a 70% coursework module. You have 5 tests. Each of them values 6% each, and the project values 40%. So you see, it's a fairly meaty project. It's not no simple little PR thing that you can shut your eyes and do. All right. And your final exam, which again will be online, is valued at 30%. Any questions here?
Miss, not really a question. The group, I don't have access to the group.
What's that?
It's saying I don't have permission.
Who just
Yeah, the email should send the
right. That's
to.
what I did. Mm-hmm.
Okay, who is that who just spoke?
All right.
No, Conroy, you are very much there. Conroy Campbell at Hotmail, Campbell Conroy at hotmail.com.
It's all right. The error is you don't have permission to access this content, number 418. So I don't know if it's because it's not mail.
Yes.
I don't know.
So I am asking all of you who sent me non-Gmail email addresses. I know you all have Gmail addresses. Please send me those.
Okay. All right. So I'm gonna forward them and A message from my Gmail.
Okay, thank you very much. And for the
December.
others that are in the group that you see listed here, if you can get in touch with them, please tell them to send me a Gmail address.
Okay.
All right? Okay.
Ms.
Then
Chambers,
you'll have access.
what is the
Yes?
first lecture?
Uh-huh.
This was the first lecture.
Yes, this is the first lecture.
Oh, and this will be uploaded to the Google thing.
Yes, it will
The
be.
Google.
So every time we do a lecture, I'll upload the slides after.
The slide or the video?
Both.
Okay, thanks a lot, mate.
Okay. The video might take a little bit longer. You may get it tomorrow because it takes a while for the processing. Okay?
Yes, miss.
Anything else? Anybody else? All right. So let's talk about the group. Hopefully by next week we have a proper fix on the numbers. And what I will do is share the with you all the list of persons within the class, because the assignment is a group assignment. Typically the groups are of 5 persons each. All right, and I want to stick to that. I don't want the groups to be less than 5 persons because there's a fair amount of work to be done. Now, the beauty about this particular module, software engineering, is that you're experiencing, or you will experience, exactly how software engineering works in the real world. Because software engineering teams are spread out across the world and they must work together. So you will be in your own space, but working together as a group online or in whatever way you choose. Okay. All right, so I'm not expecting to come up to you, take any day and see 5 of you together huddling anywhere. Please remember social distance, and also remember the university is still close to students. All right?
Yeah.
So next week, hopefully, as I say, I'll have the full group and I'll share the names so that you can create your own software groups. You give your team a name and you use that name in the presentation of your work. Of course, I need your names and ID numbers, but you present your work as a software company, and each of you will have a role in that company. Okay, and I am the client. And you have to satisfy what I need the software to do. All right?
Okay.
Any questions? Any more? I think we did good time here. It is 5 minutes to 5. 4 minutes to 5. So, yeah. So, I see you same time, same place next week, Tuesday.
Okay.
Yes?
A class for Tuesday, right?
Pardon?
So we have a class Tuesday, right?
Tuesday, 3 o'clock.
And
Tuesday, 3 to 5, and Thursday, 3 to 5. Those are class times.
okay.
I can share my timetable with you because I know some of you are still having issues registering. Is that right? Hello?
Yes.
Okay.
Let's see.
What's that, Mr. Sawyer? You had something to say?
Yes. There was a point that you said you were going to add to the outline.
Ah, thank you. Elicitation. All right, elicitation will come somewhere here. I will put in elicitation here. Okay. All right. Thank you very much for that. Okay. All right. So if there are no more questions, I'll leave it here today, and you will see the uploads shortly, and the videos probably tomorrow. All right.
All right.
Okay.
Okay. See you next week, Tuesday,
Okay.
ladies and gentlemen. Have a good
Okay.
weekend. Uh-huh.
All right, miss.
Miss, I sent you the email.
Okay. I will check and see.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay.